Newcastle versus Arsenal, the must-win game for Mikel Arteta. That's what they always say. Every bloody game is a must-win for Mikel Arteta. Why? I don't know, but we're going to get into it right now. Here we go. So Newcastle entertains Arsenal at St James's Park on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. That's right, Sunday, 4:30 kickoff, and the must-win game for Mikel Arteta. Why? Liverpool played the day before, Saturday. If Liverpool beat Crystal Palace away from home, they will be 8 points clear of Arsenal. I'll say that again, 8 points clear. You might as well wrap up the season right there and then if Arsenal fail to get 3 points away from home at St James's Park. Eddie Howe's team is dreadful this season. They really and truly are. But we've got to get into much more than that. We've got to look at what Mikel Arteta is going to do when it comes to his lineup. We've got to look at what he's going to do when it comes to the personnel that's going to take the pitch. And then we've got to look at also how is he going to play this damn game and take it to this rough and tough team for Newcastle. But remember one thing, Newcastle are barely scoring goals. They don't have the great and utter striker, Alexander Isak. He's no longer there. He's no longer there. So there's no excuse as to why Arsenal do not come away with all 3 points. Ready? Okay. So Newcastle's run of form so far, before we get into the head-to-head, is this. They've only scored 3 goals all season compared to Arsenal's 10 goals. Arsenal has only lost 1 game. Newcastle's lost 1 game. Newcastle's drawn 3. Arsenal's drawn 1. Arsenal have won 3. Newcastle have only won 1. Now, the big telling point in all of this is Newcastle going to turn up for this game? Are they going to come up and show up and rough up Arsenal and take all 3 points away to get only their second win of the season? They lie 13th in the Premier League. Arsenal lie second in the Premier League. But again, as I stress, Arsenal could be 8 points away from Liverpool. And it's only game 6. Game 6, and you could be 8 points away. But maybe Palace could do Arsenal a favour and claim all 3 points at Selhurst Park and give Arsenal breathing room to cut that down to 2 points should they get all 3 at St James's Park. But even when you look at the head-to-head between these two teams, it's historic. They played 60 times. Newcastle have only won 13 of those 60 games. Arsenal have won 36. At home, Newcastle have only won 9. Arsenal away have won 13. So Arsenal are the favourable team to try and get the 3 points. But the last 2 seasons tells a different story altogether. They have lost 1-0 both games away from home against Newcastle. And that, to me, is the concern. Is it going to be a 3 out of 3 for Eddie Howe and his team? But they had Alexander Isak at the time. He's not there. Again, I repeat, he is not there. He's there for Liverpool. And maybe that's why Liverpool could be favourites going into the game at Selhurst Park. But here, we're talking about Newcastle and Arsenal. When we talk about the formation, is Mikel Arteta going to go with his typical 4-3-3? That's what scares me. The 4-3-3 doesn't work. It doesn't work. The personnel that's available to Mikel Arteta is frightening. It's frightening. But before we talk to the personnel, we're going to talk about the formation and should there be a different formation. But before we get into that part, I need to know what's your thoughts so far quickly into this show. What's your thoughts is what the formation is going to be? Is it a 4-3-3? Should it be a 4-2-3-1? Let me know in the comments below right now. So again, as I just said, he's going to more than likely go with 4-3-3, and I'm not in favour of that. That midfield, that formation does not work. It gives nothing to Arsenal at all whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. It gives no drive. It gives no creativity. It gives nothing. But to me, the formation that he needs to go with is the 4-2-3-1. Why? Because it allows Declan Rice and Zubimendi to play the game as they like to play. They could be your sure backup line. That's semi-parking a bus in the sense of what Mikel Arteta likes to kind of do and then release the handbrake a little bit. But to me, the 4-2-3-1 gives Arsenal more flexibility. It gives productive shutout line. It does. But it allows the forward guys to be forward and do what they need to do best. Score and create. Create and score. Both are the same. We need them both. The 4-3-3, to me, you're trying to put Declan Rice in a position that he's just not comfortable with. He's just not. He's still trying to learn this position, and he's still not getting it. So if he's not going to get it now, he never is going to get it. And this is what? 2.5 seasons, when it's not halfway through the season, but you get my point. 2.5 seasons, so many games for Arsenal, and he still can't get it. Martin Zubimendi is coming into the team. He looks okay, but that's it so far. Mikel Moreno, if he plays him, please don't play him. But he's not suited for this role because on the right-hand side in the number 8 position, or you can say Martin Odegaard plays, he's just not equipped for that position. The 4-2-3-1 favours Arsenal. It helps Arsenal. Like I said, Zubimendi and Declan Rice can stay back and just shield the defence. And the defence is already solid. But it just gives Arsenal that flexibility moving the ball forward with a Declan Rice, who is the freight train, Martin Zubimendi, who is the missile locker, who can look up, first time pass, bang, over the top if it needs to, or muscle that ball straight through to an Eze should he start this game, which he better do in a 4-2-3-1 formation. With Eze up front in the middle, he then can literally command everything there in the final third of what needs to happen. He can dictate the ball to the left, to the right, or to Gyökeres. He can be the sole provider to Gyökeres and put in through balls on the floor because we know we can't lump the ball up to him to control the ball. And this is where we now go on to what the lineup needs to be. So we've done the formation. We looked at a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. As I was just talking about what personnel, now let's really get into the personnel. Let's really get into it. Ray is going to be in goal. Julian Timber will be at right back. Saliba, who's just signed a new contract, will start this game. Gabriel will be there. And maybe, just maybe, you don't go with a Calafiore in this game. Why? Away from home, you just want a bit of discipline. Calafiore has no discipline at all whatsoever. I'm more in favour of going for a Miles Lewis-Skelly because he will stay in his position. He will venture forward, yes he will. But he's not going to be there on the right-hand side. He's not going to be on the right wing. He's not going to be the striker. He's not going to be the attacking midfielder. He will just, he will just literally marshal the left-hand side and then deputise in off the left. He will be that inverted winger that Mikel Arteta loves to have. But he will just not be a kamikaze defender player who just drifts all over the pitch with no sense at all whatsoever. Decent player, don't get me wrong. But I prefer Miles Lewis-Skelly to play this game. Then you go into the midfield. Again, this is my version, the 4-2-3-1. It's got to be Rice and Zubimendi. This will be the greatest test for Declan Rice. Going up against Joe Linton if he's going to be fit to play this game, but Guimaraes if he's going to be there, Tonali as well. You need a Rice and a Zubimendi. But this is where my fear comes in that Mikel Arteta is going to go for the 4-3-3, drop Eze, and then put Moreno there because he's going to be thinking, well, you're going to have Tonali there, you're going to have Guimaraes there, you're going to have Joe Linton there. I need Declan Rice, I need Zubimendi, and I need Mikel Moreno to be there to marshal that midfield, to have a bit more skill, a bit more compatibility. You don't need that. A team that is struggling with 1 win in 5 games and is only scoring 3 goals, you need to have your attacking force out there and also your defensive force, which is going to be good enough to have Declan Rice and Zubimendi in there. And that leads me now to the forward line. You then put Eze there as your attacking midfielder. Your number 10, if you want to call him that way. You then, on the left-hand side, you go, no doubt, with Martinelli. You have to go with Martinelli. You need speed out there. You need speed. They've got speed out there with Elanga and also Gordon. Mikel Arteta, go with Martinelli. Then you're going to need some trickery on the side with some goals as well. You got goals in Martinelli. You got goals in Eze. But then you definitely got goals when it comes to Bukayo Saka. He can create, he can score, he can drift in from the right-hand side, and he can be Arsenal's second goal provider out there, along with the third with Eze, along with the fourth with Martinelli. Then we go on then to the forward line, the main striker, the main person who needs to put the ball in the back of the net, the main striker that Arsenal have, who can't hold the ball up very well, who hasn't got the best first touch. We know that. Let's just be honest. We know he doesn't have the best first touch. But what he does have is utter brilliance in front of goal. He can get the ball. If he can get the shot off, great. It's going to be a goal for Victor Gyökeres. But Arsenal need to have the main 4 up there, which is going to be Martinelli, Eze, Saka, and Gyökeres. It has to be. You can drop Trossard to the bench. And you better drop Moreno to the bench as well. If Moreno starts this game, believe me, Arsenal fans, you're not coming away with 3 points. You're not. You're not even coming away with a point. The game will be lost. 8 points away from Liverpool. Call the title over. You might as well replace the manager. Sounds drastic, but it's not. That's my thoughts. Now, when it comes to that actual style of play that needs to be done, it doesn't need to be an all-out attack away from home. It doesn't. But you can counter-attack. And the best way to counter-attack, again, deputizes with the 4-2-3-1. It deputizes with the plays that I said that needs to play. It needs to be a fluid game because that's what Newcastle's going to try and do. They're going to rough and bash you up, but they're also going to try and play quick possession game. They really and truly are. Eddie Howe knows Arsenal. Mikel Arteta is so cautious. So even though I'm saying he's cautious, Eddie Howe knows he's cautious. The Newcastle fans know he's cautious. The whole world knows Mikel Arteta is cautious. This is the game where caution goes out the window and you counter-attack, but you counter-attack with pace, with power, with direction. And that's what needs to happen under Mikel Arteta for this game. He needs to be very open to counter-attacking, but with pace and purpose. And the 4-2-3-1, the personnel that I mentioned that it needs to play, is the way to do it. It's the only way to do it. You need to ditch the 4-3-3. It doesn't work with this type of plays that Arsenal have now assembled. Mikel Arteta needs to get his head out of the sand and realize change needs to happen. Because if you're 8 points away at this start of the season, all hell's going to